Namaste everyone. In today's video, we're going to focus on Muni Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 2.48. Now in this particular Yoga Sutra, Muni Patanjali is giving us the impact or the effect of a regular asana practice, especially when done in the yogic way as described by him in the previous two sutras. So let's take a good look at this sutra, start breaking it up word by word and understand it a little bit better. So the sutra itself goes, Tato dvandvanabhighatah. So this is once again quite a short and compact sutra. Let's break it up and start understanding it better. Tato over here refers to from that or through that, and this that refers to a consistent and regular asana practice in the way that was described by Muni Patanjali. The next word is dvandva. And this is referring to a conflict. So dvandva means two opposite ends, two counteracting forces, and a conflict between those. And the final word is anabhighatah. Now this is referring to an assailment or a sort of attack. So what it's saying is anabhighata, which means no attack or no assailment takes place. So now as a whole, when we look at this entire sutra, what it's trying to tell us is that through the practice of regular consistent asanas, what ends up happening is all the conflicts that would have otherwise attacked the mind and the body are completely done away with and they no longer exist. So this is the meaning of the sutra, but now let's understand it even more deeply from a practical perspective. So, first of all, what are these conflicts that might arise and how do we identify them? I think sometimes we look at these conflicts only on a practical level, like we think of heat and cold, or we think of body temperatures, or we think of pleasure and pain in terms of the experiences that we're having. But at the same time, conflicts can be psychological as well. And I think in today's day and age, most of us have some of the other internal psychological conflicts that prevent us from going down the direction that we want to go in. And these conflicts could be in terms of within our personalities itself, that there's conflicting ideas in our personality, or there's just conflicting goals and desires that we have as people. And because we live, to be honest, in very conflicting times, this is just the truth of our times. It's something that we're all experiencing. And so what Muni Patanjali said, and I'm sure in his time there were also certain psychological conflicts. So what he's saying through the sutra is that essentially these particular conflicts no longer harm the yoga sadhak. They no longer exist because the asana practice removes any such conflicts, especially those of a psychological nature. And why does this happen? Because according to Muni Patanjali, the asana that was described is mostly a meditative asana practice. So, since the asana practice itself is meditative in nature, what ends up happening is it deals with a lot of our psycho-spiritual elements, and because we're able to deal with them and sort of work through them, we actually end up being able to come out of them conflictless in a way, like with reduced conflict. And this is really, really important, I believe. And I can say, even from a personal experience, that the stillness, the calmness, and the foundation that we are able to create during the asana practice really helps us to behave like that in the real world as well. So for example, because of the stillness, the ekagrata of the mind, and the one-pointed concentration during the meditative asana practice, what ends up happening is our mind-body complex is getting trained. It's being trained to stay calm, to stay focused and stay one-pointed. And through this training, what we're actually doing is we're conditioning the mind-body complex to behave in this way. And so even when now adverse situations, threats, anything comes into our environment, the mind is so conditioned to behave in a very calm and sort of a very understanding way that it doesn't get conflicted. It knows the way out of that situation and it follows that path through it. So this is something that happens over a period of time. It may not happen immediately in the initial stages of practice, but over a period of time, just like conditioning, through the yogic conditioning, your behavior, your patterns, everything changes. And then when conflicts arise in the psychological realm, the training that you received in your yoga asana practice holds you in good stead, and you're able to find a way and navigate your way through it. So this is what Muni Patanjali is explaining about the yoga asanas and the ways in which it helps you to reduce conflict and to really do away with it. I'll also say from personal experience that I've experienced this as well. I think growing up, I always had a lot of different interests, and even though I was practicing yoga at the time, I always had just multiple things that I was interested in. And it wasn't until much later when I deepened my yoga practice and started focusing more and more on meditative asanas. And also, since I got the time to do that after school and college, I think that's when I felt the real change and the shift, because a lot of things that were psychological conflicts just seemed to melt away. They just seemed to go away because the mind-body complex had been trained so efficiently in the asana practice that in the waking world, in the real life, those psychological conflicts no longer seemed meaningful, and they kind of lost their veracity. They kind of lost the hold that they had on me. So I think to a large extent, these sutras just really explain to you, here, this is what's going to happen to you when you go deep into the path of yoga asana and practice. And I think personally that it's amazing to study this, because then when it starts happening and you're deep in your yoga journey, you can identify it and say, aha, that's what's happening. It was in Sutra 2.48. I remember it, and that's why I'm able to experience it now. So a lot of these sutras, studying them and becoming aware of them is amazing, because it's like a precursor to what you're going to experience. But I would highly recommend that don't let the practice, don't let it just be an academic study. Take it beyond the pages of academia, into the yoga mat, onto your real life practice, and experience it, because that's what makes these words come alive, and that's what helps you to feel the magic and the power of yoga and yoga asana. So that would be my final word of advice, which is experience it for yourself, see how it feels, and then you'll be able to identify and relate even more closely with the Yoga Sutras. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Leave your comments in the comments box below. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We release videos every single week. We look forward now to seeing you in the next video or in our next class or workshop, the link for which is in the description, and we hope to see you very soon. Until then, take care, and we're going to see you in the next one. Namaste.